I haven't seen it. It should be here. Yeah. Good, how are you? All right, it is September 3rd, 5:45 p.m. And we're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Koss, Chu, Hauser, and Marmee. First item is the balance of the unappropriated balance is $577,730. And the balance of the budget stabilization fund is at $578,513. First item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to prepare and submit to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, a 1-year use of funds action plan along with an application for fiscal year 2025 Federal Community Development Block Grant Funds, CDBG, as required by 24 CFR Part 91.220 for various programs related to housing and community development.
This is our annual request for the CDBG fund.
Questions? Entertain the motion. Second. Motion by Koss, second by Hauser. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor to send this on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation, or actually, are you on the last one for the other resolution?
The first appropriation pertains to
Okay,
section 1.
okay. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $40,000.
This is an appropriation for the Ohio ambulance transportation grant.
Second. Motion by Hauser, who seconded, sorry. Second by Chu. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send this on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $2,401.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Next few items are going to ask you for some more money. The city has received more in real estate tax collections this year. So with that, that's the good news. The bad news, which really is bad news, fees do go up a little bit, but we certainly make it back. I'd ask for your support.
Motion. Motion by Hauser, second by Chu. Questions and or discussion?
Have to ask the chair.
Didn't know you were something.
Yes, ma'am.
And you tell me what that was for?
This is for, there's fees that to cover the higher costs due to large property tax collection. So we have to increase the amount that we had in that budget to cover those expenses.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send this on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 4-0. The next one is the same exact thing, just a different area in the amount of $28,026. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion by Hauser, second by Chu. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 4-0. Next is the amount of $31,318. Entertain a motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Hauser, second by Chu. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 4-0. Next item is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a housekeeping item that occurs every year. So after your support on this, emergency clause is in there, as you will see, because this needs to be agreed upon by October 1st.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Hauser, second by Chu. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
Thank you. So I got to bring it out. I've never seen this big of a crowd. Oh my God.
I
haven't gotten started.
Yeah, we'll call the service committee meeting to order. Myself, those present, myself, Rath, Neely, Cost, Blind, and Shoot. Up first, resolution 24-80, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program and to execute contracts as required.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, this is a program that, state capital improvement dollars that we participate in every year. I think we've done for like 30-some years maybe. And, certainly this is to allow us to do an application. It's probably for some safety improvements at Granville, 21st Street, at that intersection. If approved, it would probably be put out for bid next spring and be a project potentially next summer. Yeah, I don't think roundabout there.
Good. You know, any questions from the committee? Questions from the audience?
Motion. Second.
A motion by Mr. Neely. Seconded by Cost. No questions or comments. All those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. That'll pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. That concludes the service committee meeting for tonight. Up next will be what y'all are here for. Safety. Oh. Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Good evening. I'd like to call this Newark City Council Safety Committee to order. Present are members, myself, the Butis, Mr. Blind, Mr. Hauser, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Cost. Tonight, we're considering ordinance number 24-36. It reads as such: an ordinance amending chapter 660 of the codified ordinances of the city of Newark, Ohio, with regard to camping on public property. Mr. Hauser, you were speaking to this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to go ahead and speak to this ordinance. I've got a few comments prepared for me to introduce it, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of the specifics of the ordinance, if you will. The U.S. Supreme Court's decision in June of this year to uphold the constitutionality of camping bans on public property reflects a growing concern among communities across the country regarding the use of public spaces. The ruling has sparked a wave of local ordinances aimed at addressing the presence of homeless encampments in parks, walking paths, sidewalks, streets, and other communal areas. While these spaces are intended for the enjoyment and use of all residents, their use by homeless individuals has led to a significant reduction in accessibility and a growing sense of insecurity among the public. The bike path in East and South Newark serves as a prime example of this issue and has since seen a marked decline in use as residents no longer feel safe navigating the area. Presence of encampments has not only made the path less accessible, but has also altered its intended purpose, ultimately depriving the community of a vital resource. Members of this body have consistently heard from business owners in the city and the constant struggle they're having with individuals sleeping in front of their establishments, hindering their business. Yes.
Could you increase the volume a little bit?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. From the background.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It is imperative that we maintain a city that is friendly to local business owners. Addressing the issue of homelessness, particularly the segment of the population that remains entrenched in camping on public land, requires a change in approach. This may be because of substance abuse issues or mental health challenges, but with this entrenchment, there is a danger in creating an environment where assistance is available without any expectation of behavioral change, as this can inadvertently enable persistence of the problem without a clear path towards self-sufficiency or rehabilitation. The cycle of homelessness can continue unchecked, and the burden on public spaces can grow. I want to make clear that in no way am I suggesting that every homeless individual is in this position through choice. Life can be difficult, and I believe it's important to make sure that as a community, we are truly providing the right help, a hand up and not a handout.
Could we request that the speakers speak up a bit, please?
If I can try louder.
Please.
In talking with the police chief, Newark Police Department and enforcement of this ordinance will make individuals aware of services available in the community as a first step. This will increase the awareness of needed services, and this approach has been used in other communities across the country. In this community, we do have an abundance of resources for those that are going through challenges of this kind. I hope that you'll consider this legislation, and I understand this is a difficult topic, that there already is a lot of disagreement for. But hopefully this will be considered and we can, have some good discussion tonight. I'll touch on a couple of points within the legislation. I think assuming since most people are here, they're aware of the content of the legislation. It is very similar to the legislation that was upheld by the Supreme Court. In fact, it's almost identical. It focuses on sleeping in public places and camping in public areas. That's the focus, with a minor misdemeanor offense on the first offense for violating that. That's an overview of the legislation, and that's all that I have, in case any of the public officials want to share.
Oh, please.
Okay, that's fine, I will.
Before anyone hear me if I speak at this level? I'll try to be louder.
Not in the back.
Not in the back? Okay, we'll try to project from here.
Do you have a microphone that you can use?
One director, please.
Yeah, we have
Director.
up here.
Turn them up.
So we will try to speak as clearly and precisely as we can, okay? And try to project out into the lobby as well, which I know becomes difficult beyond the doors. Before I open it for comment, are there any comments from the committee? Mr. Cost?
I think we'll all agree that there's a broad reason that people are homeless. It goes all the way from drugs, alcohol, incarceration, mental health, but that's not the end of it. There's also people who have just lost their home, can't make rent, have had a car breakdown, and they can't get to their job. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So we have this broad spectrum of why someone is homeless. But from my point of view, we're trying to solve this with a very narrow solution. I mean, I understand that the community does not want homeless camps on the yard of the courthouse. I get that. I also understand that community members do not want a camp in their front or backyard. I get that too. However, if you can't be on private property and you can't be on public property, then the only solution we're giving is jail.
Right.
Correct.
That's the issue, sir.
Absolutely.
Some people.
I've always found in life, one size does not fit all. I don't care if it's a hat or a pair of pants or a community problem. I don't think we're gonna solve this with one narrow swipe of having everyone go to jail. When you come out of jail, they're still going to be homeless. They're still not going to have a job. They're still not gonna, I mean, the only thing they're gonna have is a criminal record.
That's right. That's right.
And a building.
For me, I'm only speaking for myself, I feel as if we're saying we give up. And I'm gonna be fair and say this is not an easy thing to solve. If it was easy, it would have been solved years ago.
Right.
We've always had poor people, we've always had homeless people, we're always going to have poor people and homeless people. But we have to be willing, as a council, as a community, to go that extra step. And I think until we're willing to put funds towards helping this situation out, it's never going to be solved. And I'm also realistic enough to know that a lot of money is being spent right now in what we're doing. I mean, I get that. I've got a good friend whose daughter works out in Albuquerque, and her job is to find health care for homeless people. It's a tough job. But their motto is housing first. as I said, don't misunderstand me. I know there's a lot of problems. I know there are criminal elements inside of homelessness. I know that drugs are an issue. I know that there's problems with damage and breaking and entering, and I get it. I totally get it. If someone's committing a crime, they go to jail.
Absolutely.
I don't think being poor is a crime.
No.
I don't think being homeless is a crime.
That's right.
I think we have to find a solution, and it takes a lot longer than I wish it did, but we haven't found that solution yet. But I, for one, want to be a part of trying to find that solution.
Right.
I know there's not one of us sitting up here that'll leave here and ever question whether we're going to have a home to go home to, or a meal, or a job. Now, this is not a perfect world, this isn't a perfect situation, I get that. But I think we need to do the extra work that it's gonna take to try to help these folks. Some of them, you're never gonna help. But there's still some of them who have, just like I said, just lost their house, just couldn't make rent, healthcare issues. And I think there's some folks in there that we can truly help, and I wanna be a part of helping. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It means a lot. I was speaking with some as they were coming in. And again, this is a reflection of a very engaged and caring community. Now, with that in mind, there's also an opportunity to bring clarity to something that is often very ambiguous. And as the gentleman said, very multifaceted. But with that in mind, government's role in this case is to bring safety, not just to house folks, but those who are on the streets, because they're in danger. I speak to many over the weekends and they are in danger. And so with that in mind, again, we want to get rid of some of the confusion as to what's being said and what's being spoken. And as this legislation is being considered, please think about us as a community. We are a community, and one person's welfare does affect us all. And at the same time, one person's safety does affect us all. And so we need to be wise in how we put this forth. And I thank you for the opportunity to bring up some clarity to this issue. Because before anything can move forward, we have to get rid of the confusion and chaos. So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm glad to hear what people have to say. Thank you. Sir?
Anyone else from the committee?
Yeah, I'll throw my jabs out there somehow. You know, Mr. Hauser spoke of assistance without expectation of change. And needing a change in approach. And we are spending money on this issue, on this problem, and I don't know that throwing more money at it is gonna make a whole lot of difference. I don't know that we have a whole lot of money more to throw at it. Mr. Claus brought up.
Yeah, money for everything else.
Yeah. His turn.
Bike
It's
path.
his turn. His turn.
Bike path, flowers.
Mr. Rad has the floor. Mr. Rad, go ahead.
Thank you. So Mr. Claus brought up Albuquerque, New Mexico, and their philosophy being housing first, and I think that's awesome. And I commend them for that. But you've got to compare apples to apples. We're a town of 50,000. Albuquerque is the largest city in the entire state of New Mexico, with a population of over 1 million. Why does that make a difference? Because when you have 1 million people paying into taxes, there's a lot more money to spend. We are not a big city. We are a small city. I think Mr. Claus mentioned that this was a very narrow solution. it's not a solution. It's not, this is not an end-all solution. And that's not the goal of this legislation. The goal is not to take everybody that's homeless, round them up and throw them in jail. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're talking about doing. That's not the purpose of this. But to say that the only thing that they're going to get out of this is a criminal record is just false and misleading.
Mr. Rad,
Give them a house.
Mr. Rad has the floor.
Whether they are on city property or on private property. And by the way, if they're camping out on your private property, that's not a crime. Unless you report it. It's only a crime if you press charges. So if you want them camping out in your backyard, have at it. There's no way they can be arrested for that unless you say they're trespassing. But getting these people into jail, for a lot of them, is their opportunity, their gateway into services. A lot of these people are
They don't get any help.
Mr. Rad has the floor.
Not always.
Mr. Rad.
It is an opportunity for them to get help, whether they take advantage of it or not, it's not up to us, it's up to them. But it is an opportunity to get them help. This is another opportunity for us to lead people and steer them into a position of getting assistance. I absolutely am not, I am definitely against assistance without the expectation of change. I am definitely 100% for offering somebody a handout. I am absolutely for giving them services that will allow them to benefit and change their position. I don't even care if they have a relapse and they go away from that and then come back. Well, as many chances as they want. I'm okay with that. I really am.
Not just about.
Mr. Rad, Mr. Rad has the floor.
I am really okay with that. But I am definitely against getting a handout. And there are a lot of our services here that really don't do any service to anybody other than their handout. And that's just enabling. And I am definitely against that. There's also a lot of people. All these side comments going on. Who can't control themselves for just 30 seconds? Seriously. When it's time for you guys to speak, we will give you respect and we will sit up here with our mouths shut and listen to you. Right now, it's my turn to speak. I'd appreciate it if you give me the same respect. I forget what I was even saying.
Handout.
Yeah, I went somewhere else from there. I don't know, I forget where I was.
You were talking about different.
Oh, okay, so there are a lot of services out here. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of people that have burnt their bridges and don't qualify for those services anymore. That's not us. That's the people providing the service. They set the rules. You follow the rules. Everything's great and glorious. You break those rules, you're not allowed to come back. That's for the safety and health and welfare and well-being of everybody else involved. There's nothing we can do about that. And quite honestly, that's probably the biggest group of people that we have a problem with. So, just to wrap it up, this is not a narrow solution. It's not a solution, but it is another way for us to be able to get services to people, another way for us to help people. It gives us the ability to lead them in the right direction. Pray to God that they follow. Thank you.
Mr. Rad. All right, before I open it for public comment, I will say, obviously, this is a very passionate topic that everyone is engaged with, and I appreciate that. From my own personal vantage point, I see both sides. I see the safety of our community and those that are utilizing bike paths and the public right of ways that we have. But it's also not lost on me the humanity side of people that are experiencing homelessness as well. I can see both sides. This is not an easy discussion. nor an easy, decision to make either. I think that all of us up here, even those of us that are not up here currently, that are on council, are approaching it from this manner. I understand that. Yeah. So, as we go into, and we have, just for clarification, we have had discussions previously as a community outside of council. In 2019, there was a building that was purchased on East Main Street by the Evans Foundation that was originally meant to be a homeless shelter. We had a plan put forth in 2020. The building was sold in 2021 because there wasn't a consensus at that time as far as how to move forward. Okay. Most of us have a document from 2020 of a task force on homelessness that was there. That is a 105-page document filled with different and good, when I say good, ideas on how to work with the homeless community, how to help them, how to best serve them. With each of those great ideas comes a cost as well. And I think a lot of the issues from our community, not from just a council standpoint, from a community standpoint, has been finding adequate funding to move forward on serving this population. So I say that this is all as a precursor, okay? So here's how I would like to move forward. I'm going to open it for public comment. As we do in council meetings, I'm going to limit the time frame to 3 minutes per speaker. Okay, I will watch the clock at 30 seconds. If you get to 2:30, I'll raise my hand. That's your 30-second wrap up. Okay, I know that many of you would like to speak. I understand that. I know we have people from probably all across the county that are here. Newark is dealing with this issue, but this is a countywide issue. I understand that. So for public comments, I would like to hear from Newark residents first. Okay, so I'd like to hear from Newark residents first. You have 3 minutes to speak. When I call you to the podium, I will point to you, call you out, you will come up, you will state your name and address for the record. Start by doing that. From that point, you will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a clarification question on something you just said. The building on East Main Street.
Yes.
Did you sell that building or does Newark still own that building?
It is, I think Evans Foundation still has it, but St. Vincent de Paul is operating it
Oh,
as
it's
a
the
store.
same, okay.
St. Vincent de Paul is operating as a store.
Okay, thank
It
you.
is being utilized
Thank
and they serve the homeless, but yes, so, the end, yes, so. 3 minutes, Newark residents first. I would like to control the side chatter so everyone can hear what each person is saying. Okay? We'll be respectful of each other. I know we'll probably have views on both sides. Okay? We're all passionate about this. I understand. Okay? We'll go, council meeting will start at 7 p.m. We do break at that point. Okay? So I'm giving you all just a heads up, all right? So, first, I believe, ma'am, you have had your hand up. If you would, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Mary Jo Farrell, 93 Grant Street in Newark.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I'm here to speak for the voiceless. I'm sorry, all I have to do is. And my first question is, why is city council spending money on a new parking garage? Which I've been told by several people, and I don't know if it's 1% of our city tax or property tax that is being used to purchase the old Advocate building and renovate it to be a parking garage. Gosh, why do we need a parking garage? We have homeless on the street and we're spending money on a parking garage? Okay. Especially when most businesses downtown close at 5 o'clock. Okay, who's gonna be there all night? Wouldn't the money be better spent on low income, no income housing for the homeless? Or a huge shelter for the homeless? Everyone just seems to think that the bulldozing of their encampments will make the problem go away. It seems that our city just wants to sweep the problem under a big rug and out of sight, out of mind. We have three shelters in this town. One is for men, one is for battered women, and one is at Salvation Army, and that's if you don't have any criminal record. Or if you're not an addict, or if you're a couple, but you're not married, okay? Until the city of Newark comes up with a plan to help these people. Sorry. When things doing funny things. Until the city of Newark comes up with a plan to help these unhoused group of men and women, no matter what you do to their camp, it will continue. If you want to try and eliminate the problem of unhoused population, you need to look at it from a proactive point of view. Try investing the money that you're spending to put another parking garage in and use some of that on old buildings in this town, renovate them and give these human beings a place to sleep. Take a shower, get a hot meal and wash their clothes. I'm sure you can pay someone to staff these places who will make sure things go smoothly, and if not, those persons will be removed from the premises. Also, you wait on people, i.e. churches, to do the things that our city should be doing for our unhoused population. My church helped for 8 years to feed and clothe our unhoused population, but we're told they were no longer allowed to do that on public property in the city of Newark. Now you're trying to pass a law that would make it illegal for them to sleep in any public place, arresting them and fining them from $150.
You figure 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Linda LaMontagne. I live at 538 Manor Drive. At the beginning, very beginning of the Grants Pass decision, the Supreme Court, writing for the majority, cited the positive action that Grants Pass has taken to protect its homeless citizens' property and has a community liaison to direct the homeless towards services. These actions show that Grants Pass is working toward what the Supreme Court calls for, a responsible societal solution to a complex issue in which the American people must shape public policy. This was one underlying reason why the court decided that Grants Pass was not outlawing the status of homelessness. The court has made previous clear rulings against outlawing a person's status. My concern is that the same can't be said for our fair city. We have, in the last few years, prohibited the building of shelters to meet the growing need. Instead, our council has hoped to incent the homeless to move elsewhere by destroying their personal property on public land with a slash and burn mentality. In our council, there has been talk of busing our homeless elsewhere to become another city's problem. While all our charities continue to report that the homeless we serve are not some transient population new to our community looking to milk our generosity, but there are neighbors who grew up here, our neighbors who have family here, our neighbors who are experiencing temporary hard times. Our local charities are planning to host a public discussion on homelessness in first quarter 2025. And we hope that our city policymakers will take a significant role in shaping that discussion. As a community, we need to take seriously the guidance of the Supreme Court ruling and devise public policy that incents our neighbors
experiencing homelessness for whatever reason, not to jeopardize the safety of our public spaces or make our parks unsafe for use. We need the strengths and compassions of our community to help those impacted negatively by our community's growth. We can provide more shelter space and programs to meet the growing need. We can treat neighbors compassionately by creating a stepped approach to getting them off the street, out of the parks, and into programs that can make them productive citizens again. Thank you.
Say your name and record, name and address for the record, please.
Maria Alejandra Leon Garcia. I am the owner of the house on 230 Woods Avenue, Newark, Ohio. In the summer of 2008, I decided to escape domestic abuse and I became homeless. I called the shelter for New Beginnings and I lived there with my children for 5 weeks. After years of struggles, I have now owned my house for 13 years. As someone serving the community for over 5 years, I know that as rents increase without corresponding increases in income, the number of unsheltered people and the number of evictions is constantly, alarmingly escalating.
Sure.
The Salvation Army has a wait list that is usually several weeks long. This city council begins every session with the earnest prayer that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Isaiah 58 says, share your food with the hungry and open your homes to the homeless poor.
Amen.
Give clothes to those who have nothing to wear and do not refuse to help your own relatives. Matthew 25 says, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you gave them to me. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. Anything you did for one of the least important of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I am outraged that my city and about Christian community is now considering penalizing people who have no choice but to sleep outside.
Amen.
This is inhumane. The hypocrisy of asking the Lord's blessing while shunning the poor is using the Lord's name in vain.
Amen.
And I call on this council to follow the Christian calling by exploring more humane, more effective, and cost-efficient ways to end homelessness. Thank you.
Amen.
Well said. Right there, sir. Yeah. Yes, you. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Donald Bennett. I live at 112 South Fifth Street, Newark. I also go out every Wednesday on my own with my girlfriend and a group of people, one that actually works here at the courthouse, and we serve our homeless. We actually go out there, we give them food, we give them clothing. And we also know that people like our second ward is cutting down wood so that our homeless can't stay out of sight, out of your guys' way. They go out here, they live deep in the woods, out of everybody's way, so that y'all they don't bother nobody. And here's Toby Wells and his son wanting to go cut up their tents, steal their stuff. Why ain't they in jail for destruction of private property? Why ain't they in jail for theft? And then you wanna know why our homeless are out here sleeping on your sidewalk, sleeping on the square. They're out here stealing because their stuff's been stolen by the city.
Yep. Amen.
Their homes in the woods have been taken from them, forcing them out into the open. You know, if you guys really wanna know what these homeless are about besides just seeing them, come out on Wednesday night, 6 o'clock at the thrift store on East Main Street, and you'll see us where we feed them, we clothe them, and you can hear their stories. They're down there begging to be helped, begging to be saved by the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, we have another group that goes out on Thursday nights. We have another group that goes out on Tuesday night. We're trying to get a group every night to serve and feed them. If you guys would give us a building, you have enough volunteers, you ain't gotta pay nobody to come in and house them,
Yeah.
staff them, feed them, or even clothe them. The only thing we need paid is the electric and the water, so they can get showers, so
Yeah.
they can get their phones charged, so they can continue with people. And I, Donald Bennett, 112 South Fifth Street, you get a hold of me, and I give you my word, I can get you enough people to continue housing. I do it every Wednesday. I don't care if it's raining, snowing, sleeting. Me and a group of people are out there helping them, not going against them. Quit taking them out of the woods. I'm done.
Brad has a question for you. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
I just wanted to clarify something. You said give you a building. You're
Yes.
talking about a building to use for people to sleep in.
We will, yeah, whatever, yes, we just need a building that we can, if they need to
What's the
nap
use-
for an hour or
specific use
two.
of the- What's the specific use of the building that you're wanting?
The specific use is, we need water, we need electric. We need to feed these people, we need to shower them, we need to where we can get them suits. So I personally worked for the J.C.'s, so I know how to do paperwork to get these people jobs, resumes, help them. That's why we need a building, so that we can get them in there. I know that we have one down on Third Street that they can go to, Salvation Army, well, that's here or there, wherever they can get in. I know they can go clear down on East Main, not that they have transportation. But we can get them in there to where we can help them. The ones that are on alcohol and drugs. I tell you, I have so many people that have come to me like, hey man. Down on Third Street, the place down there, helped them get clean, but now they can't get into a house because. Their social security check's only $800 and rent for a one bedroom's $1,200.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're clean, they're ready to do something, but they can't. So.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
My name is David Ruderman, 15 Cottage Street in the 7th Ward. First of all, I'd like to thank you for proposing this measure because look at these beautiful people. I mean, this makes me very happy. There's so much love here. You know, this is the community and I know you didn't mean it to be like this, but you created a groundswell, right?
Yeah.
And so these people, we're not gonna go anywhere.
Okay.
We're not going anywhere. We need a low barrier shelter
Yep.
in this town. And we need one for a long time. And you created the conditions now for that to happen, so thank you. Thank you, but this, you know, I mean, I'm also a person in recovery. I've been in recovery for 34 years. So. I work with a lot of people, both through the day reporting program, the adult court services, teaching a poetry class with them. And I teach at OSU Newark. So I'm an English professor, so. Sorry, I got nervous. My point is that this criminalizes homelessness, addiction, and mental health. And I'll tell you the ways in which it does. You say it's a misdemeanor. After the second misdemeanor offense, because they have nowhere else to go, and they're picked up, they would then not even be eligible to get housing vouchers. You know, it's going backwards. It makes no sense. And I want to leave enough time for other people here. So thank you for opening this up and thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. Daniel Crawford, 163 South Second Street. Before I speak for myself,
a friend of mine who had to be at work today, wanted me to read off what she had wrote. She says, "My name is Helena. I live on Kibler Avenue in Newark, Ohio. Last week I worked 124 hours. There are only 168 hours in a week. This week I will work 91 hours. I earn $27 an hour and on October 1st will be homeless. The only mistake I made in my adult life was moving home to Newark. After earning my 2 degrees out of state, I have made my children in high school and middle school, both with straight A's, agree to move away after graduation. I have paid $40,950 in rent since January of 2022. The ridiculousness of rents averaging $700 to $800 going up to $1,700 in Newark is the reason why most of the good people who truly care about this community and have been here for generations will move away. But those unchecked rent prices are also greatly contributing to the homelessness crisis you are here to criminalize. Evil men take aim to slay the poor, but their swords will be plunged into their own hearts, and all of their weapons will be broken. It is better to have little and be godly than to own another man's wealth, for the strength of evil men shall be broken. But the Lord takes care of those he has forgiven. Criminalizing citizens that you represent for an issue that is a direct failure of each of your offices makes you poor morally. I am just poor financially." So with that having been said, I need to start with the position that you guys all know that I believe housing is a human right. And the best cure for homelessness is a home. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive because of the whole notion that people, we have it in a society that everyone needs to earn their way into whatever. But the thing is, there have been studies done in other parts of the country where if you, like for instance, the tiny homes that are down in Florida, put people in these tiny homes and they will build their way out of homelessness. Does it work for everyone? No. But for the most part, if you give people a chance, they will progress, they will thrive. And I look out at this legislation. The last time I came before you guys, I've had to take some time off to clear my head because of the anniversary of my stepbrother's death. And he was homeless. He battled with addiction, and my stepfather, his father, is here today. He's the one who's had some trouble controlling himself because he's animated. And it's like, what we do here, the legislation that you guys do here, you guys are representative of us to the rest of the world. Is this what we want the rest of the world to see Newark, Ohio for? I hope not. Thank you. You state your name for the name and address for the record, please.
My name is Amanda Young and my address is 301 Fall Creek Drive, apartment B. I'm 37 years old. I first off wanted to just say that I'm recently an actual resident of Newark. I was welcomed at the Salvation Army with my 2 children and my fiance for 9 months. I don't know if any of you have been on that side of town, but it gets a little rough. My kids have seen everything. But even though they have seen the worst side of things, it's making them people, and it's going to make them appreciate the things that other people would have otherwise been handed in life. They will appreciate that and want to be more gratuitous with that in life. Furthermore, I also wanted to bring to the attention that it is easier to get a felony expunged than it is to get an eviction removed in this state. I have personally submitted several requests to have my eviction, other people's evictions to be sealed or how the process is, and no one with legal aid really has the time to deal with that because they have actual, cases. These are more like wants, I think, and how the court said it's not a necessity, it's a want, because it was something that basically was brought upon ourselves, which essentially doesn't really make any sense because isn't that what a crime is, but be it as it may, I was blessed with housing and I do appreciate that and I see my friends and I see people who have made mistakes. I mean, my husband, my fiance makes $27 an hour. He was laid off for 6 months. And we were homeless. We were sleeping in the storage units with our kids. And if someone would have found us, we've been in jail and our kids have been in CPS. Do you know how hard it is to get your kids back at that point? Yeah. The state doesn't, it seems like they almost don't want to. And that just creates another list of problems, not just for regular people who don't have kids, but for people, you know, who now have a criminal charge, who don't now have kids. It's a repetitive process of issues that you have to overcome in order to be able to just try to get started all over again.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring that, plus, I believe the Lincoln County Commissioner does own the, old juvenile jail, which has been vacant. I don't believe it's even a 911 dispatching center anymore. But that would be, if you remove all the steel bars and scrap that money, it could be used towards more accommodable housing. And you guys are already paying the utilities for that place, so while it's empty, you know, I figured it might be, you know, a good place to put some people, you know. Just a thought.
I know the last speaker mentioned the county jail, there is a difference between county owned and city owned. So while they might be making shillings, I don't think we are as a city, so there is a difference there between the ownership, so.
Hi,
Thank you.
my name's Caitlin Curtis, and I'm homeless. I'm one of the homeless ones out here. My husband Adam died 3 years ago, which made me homeless. I'm technically blind now for 2 years. And I have epileptic seizures. That's how I got paralyzed. Last year, I had a seizure and got ran over by a car. And I lost my sight to glaucoma. I've been out on the streets 3 years since Adam died due to financial situations. He was my payee on my SSI. I lost my checks when he died. I have no, if you, like the gentleman said earlier, I mean, I can't afford to go to jail because look at me, I can't work. I've got no other place to go, and I do sleep behind churches. I've slept on benches, but I have no way of getting anything to eat. Most people have food stamps. I mean, I only get 934 widows benefits. And all I ask is that you do give us homeless some consideration, help us out. I've tried to get housing, and they told me I was a liability risk due to my health issues, and they said the homeowners insurance would go up. And I went to Salvation Army and they can't help me either, so I just wanted to let you guys know that, I don't need to be in jail. I don't need to be, you know, having a job because I can't. I just want a home. I just want to get off the streets. I just want to be able to get my SSI back. I want to be able to live a somewhat normal life. I want to be able to give to my kids and grandkids. That's all. Thank you.
God bless.
Hi, I'm Chris Marcus. I reside at 103 Swainford Drive in Heath. Sorry about that. But most of my work, the Champions Network, is in Newark. One thing I know about all the people who we work with, most of them are extremely low income. Most of them are on SSI, which is about $920 a month. Not enough to pay rent, barely enough to pay any kind of bills. Most of them are on Metro housing, but Metro housing is full now too. There's no one that wants to rent the Metro people. So they're already in a bind, okay? And we're working with these people daily. This is not just once a week, once a month. This is every day. I get calls every day working with people that need help, sincere help. So we help them move. We put 9 people in housing between us and Summer Bloom in the last 9 months. We put 10 people in treatment just in the last 2 or 3 months. So there are people that are getting in treatment, but you gotta give these service programs time to go work. You gotta let them work, process. Look, we went from 58 overdoses deaths to 31 in 1 year because of these services. It's working, but you gotta give it time. I'm just asking respectfully of this body, before you jump too fast on writing laws, consider maybe letting the services work a little bit more with you. And I'm Champions Network. You guys know who I am, been here several times before. I'd be glad to help you guys resolve this without having to force the issue. Because now the camps are coming to Heath. I live in Heath. There's camps in Heath now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so let's go deal with those guys. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of these people. I want to love these people because they need it. That's all.
Yes.
But Matt, who are you with, sir?
We're called the Champions Network.
The Champions
Network.
Network?
Yeah, we're in Newark, Ohio. We're based at 261 East Main Street, right up in Salvation Army.
Great work.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Hey, man, how you been? See you. Good, buddy. You used to take pictures of us when we was little kids, right? Yes. Yes.
Taking pictures of everybody.
Yeah, that's right. But, yeah, my name is, JT Sauer, pastor of Crossroads Baptist Church. Also have a local business in, Newark. My address is also Heath it's at 50 Swainford Drive. So we own, Subzilla. It's a supplement company. We have a gym in, Newark as well. And my ministry is at the FOP. I'm also the Fraternal Order of Police Chaplain. And, we have a ministry, and a lot of the people right over here are the people that do that with me. Donnie, you mentioned us a minute ago, but here's the thing. So we go out, I've been doing this for years and years and years. I can't tell you how many years that we've been going out and we are trying to help the homeless. We don't just go over and give them a hand out, we're trying to give them a hand up. The city does not recognize that. The city has never come to me and talked to me about that. I went to the city and I said, I want to talk to everybody. Can I turn around a little bit and talk to everybody? So I went to the city and I said, hey, we would like to use the basketball courts across from the jail so that we can pass out food, so we can give clothing, so we can preach the gospel. And that is what we did. And so we did those things. And next thing you know, there was a woman that came out. What was her name? Does anybody remember? I can't remember her name, but I know she works with Parks and Recs. You guys know who she is. She's under Dave Rhodes. And so that's a whole nother story. But here's the deal. So we literally are passing out food, doing these things. We're seeing people give their life to Jesus. We're seeing people get off drugs. We've sent some to the Champions Network and things like that. But listen to this. So while we're doing this, the woman comes out and says, you can no longer use the city parks for any of this, okay? And so we thought, okay, we'll go down to the auto spa. We went down to the auto spa. It's a private property. Apparently somebody in the city, don't know who, these are the words that I got, went to that group of people. Well, guess what? The auto spa is not there anymore. I don't know what happened to those people, but we couldn't do it there. So we went back to the basketball court. There was nothing in writing, right? And so nothing in writing that said that we couldn't do it. So the next thing you know, I get a letter. Now listen, I'm the FOP chaplain, right? I get a letter from the law office threatening to prosecute me in our church. I've got the letter. I'm not going to show that right now. I've got that as a spade for later. But the interesting thing about it is, and I've been holding this for a while, I've got this piece of paper right here. Can I say this piece of paper real quick? This piece of paper right here is a reservation form. It says that it's good on Thursday evenings at 4 p.m. until dark, all right? 2022 through 2024. I can't really read the woman's name. She just scribbled something on there. That was 10/20/22 Main Street basketball court. Yeah. They kicked us off. Yeah. Well, listen, so we had to, I got threatened by the law office. It was the city that put them out there. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So your name and address for the record.
Yes, John LaBelle, 100 Jeffrey Lane, Licking Township, Licking County, right outside of Heath. I'm president of St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Leonard's Church in Heath.
Speak up, please.
Yes, I will. Thank you. I'm John LaBelle, 100 Jeffrey Lane, Licking Township in the county, right outside of Heath. I'm president of St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Leonard's Church in Heath. We spend around $55,000 a year on helping the poor, the homeless, the people that are in need in the city of Heath, just in that one zip code. My question to you, how much money is allocated through the city to handle situations with the homelessness? How much money? Zero. May I suggest that you look at homelessness as a problem with infrastructure?
if it was a bridge that needed repair, you would find the money to repair the bridge. If we would have a storm and a subdivision would have a flood problem with some of their sewer systems or whatever, you would find the money somehow, some way to fix that problem. Homelessness is part of the city, of all cities, not just this city. You can go right over to Columbus, which is a lot larger than Newark, but scale it down. They seem to find the funds to help the problem. And again, you answered the question. You have not provided any funds to help the problem. And there's funds out there. There's grants. You have people come in and build buildings and big manufacturing plants in the county and some in the city, and they get a tax abatement. Why can't you provide the laws or some means to give tax abatements to real estate people or to builders to come in and build housing? Why can't you offer some type of a program to buy down the rents of some of the renters, some of the people that rent, and buy it down a little bit to where the people can still stay in their homes through a voucher situation, through vouchers? It's done in other cities. They've been able to make it work because they care. When I see a homeless person, I see Christ.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And you need to do the same. You can't just continue not to see it that way. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Pink sweater? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Say your name and address for the record.
Chris right here. First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon. Good evening, those that want to call. My name is Callie Rucker, and I reside at 130 Delmar Avenue, Newark, Ohio, 43055. And I would like to commend everyone that came out tonight because homeless is a problem in the city of New York. Matter of fact, I am ashamed of some of the things that I see in the way they treat the homeless people and the drug addicts. I am very ashamed. Newark is a small town. We should set an example for the other towns around, cities around the country. And I would like to say that regardless whether you're homeless or whether you're a drug addict, a recovery, you are human beings also. Amen.
Amen.
Respect. And for the ones that say, that the military people is suckers and losers, I apologize to one of them over there. I also would like to apologize to one that called the police officer pigs. They are human beings. We always tell you they can do the job better. Get out there and do it, because we all have faults. We have to be a community that work together and stop pointing things at everybody else, because we all have shortcomings. And I don't know why that we don't come together. I'm a big advocate for the younger generation, for the school, for education. They always want to put everything on the younger generation, and I tell them like this. We have to talk to them and not at them. And we also remember, power do not last forever. And one day, what the people are doing to their families, taking what, health care, the health and denying them good education. That's gonna turn one of these days, because they're gonna be in charge of us, regardless whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not, they're gonna be in charge. They're taking health care away from them. They don't want to give them health care and the things that they're doing. Let me repeat myself. Power do not last forever. And just like when you have children, and when those children leave home, you have lost that power. And when you're home, you want to put kids in this little let them have a choice of them saying what to say. If you're not going to do things their ways, their way, the highway, you gotta understand, they have needs. Not matter of fact, what they want, the needs. And if they want to control this, mass shootings in school, a lot of kids, I interact with a lot of school, kids. They're afraid to go to school. I know my time is up, but I could go on and on and on. Some of the things that people do in the city, they should be ashamed of themselves, and that's all I gotta say. Thanks, guys.
Some of a few others that would speak, it is about 6:52 currently. City council meeting starts at 7 PM. So what we're going to do now is take a recess from safety committee so we can take a break before we go into council at 7. We will reconvene safety committee after council is finished. Whatever time that is, we will reconvene safety and then call for a vote at that point. So that will conclude safety for now. We're taking a recess until after council meeting this evening. Council starts in 8 minutes at 7 PM.
Well, they wanted a community meeting, so community gets started. Yeah. Better remember.
You don't remember me, but I remember you.
Right.